So nobody really knows exactly where the market is. Is it just a busy market, but people are getting discounts? Or is it like actually a very high market because of a lack of inventory? Well, it's been a crazy ride for the past year. So it was obviously shut down. Everyone knows that. And then it sort of it was trickling with I think a few off-market deals, most of them well below what anybody would have considered market value, big negotiations, 20% and more off of the asking price. And then the past, I would say 4 weeks, maybe even a little bit longer, the market has been not only very strong in terms of signed contracts, but very strong in terms of the amount of traffic that we see. I think last week was the highest number of contracts over $4 million signed, I think in this week since 2015. Things started to sort of change, I think, in the late fall, early winter. And people got a little braver. I think it was the vaccines. I think it was people were really actually feeling confident about planning their return to New York after being out for a year. And I also think the people who really haven't been here now come back and they say, wow, New York made it through the winter. People ate outside in January. They ate outside in February. They were like, it's a happy place. People walking down the street are like feeling optimistic and happy. They go to a museum and it's actually more fun than it was before the pandemic because there are fewer people there. And the things that we see people buying are bigger spaces. So even people who lived in the city and they're coming back, if they've been out of the city, they've probably been in a house or a bigger space somewhere. And what we're seeing is that they're coming back and they're saying, but I'm not going back to my little apartment. I'm going to allocate more of my resources, more of my assets, because I want something that gives me feel like I have something more special and more spacious. For all the people who you're like, oh, they're fleeing, and the buying market in Greenwich, for example, is huge, or the buying market in California, or the buying market in Miami. Well, all those people took advantage of this hot market to sell their houses. And a lot of them are moving to New York. So there's like a reverse migration of those people who got these mega prices for their house in Greenwich, let's say, and they're coming into the city. Maybe their kids are gone, so they don't need to be sitting in the suburbs anymore, or they don't feel like they do, and they're coming into the city. Two things. Either they want to be like right in the thick of it, and they want to be like in a busy New York thing because their other home is out somewhere where there's no action at all, or they're afraid of that, or they're a little tentative about that, and then they want like a super residential neighborhood. I think this is why the Upper East Side, and particularly now, really in the past couple of weeks, I see like a much more confidence in the Upper West Side. When you see the hip, cool people from downtown or from Brooklyn coming into the city because they can either actually get a better deal on something in the city, or it's their chance to move into Manhattan. That then like the Upper East Side and the Upper West Side are about to get super hip. And neither is better than the other, but I think it's a different buyer that's going to Brooklyn, and they are specifically actively going to Brooklyn because that's what they want. And I think it actually supports the high-end market in New York more than detracts from it. It says, we believe in city living. I think initially maybe people were drawn to Brooklyn because they could get more space or more green space or more something for either the same dollars or less money. But that gap seems to have gotten closer on the trophy properties, right? So now I think these very, very wealthy people are actively choosing Brooklyn for some reason. There's some areas of the city that have more inventory. I would say like Chelsea, far west Chelsea, has a lot more inventory to sell than, for example, the Upper East or the Upper West Side, or like the Village. The Far West Village has less inventory. Far West Chelsea has all those big buildings that are going up, and some of them are absolutely wonderful and doing great and selling. And some of them they just have like a lot of apartments they have to sell. So I imagine they'll be doing some negotiating. I think that eventually people will just want to live in the city, and those things will start to trade, and the numbers will be strong.